What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show with me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com, and it is another big edition of the betting show today as Bellator returns to my home country of Ireland. It's the only big MMA this weekend, no UFC, so I have lots of bets for you. And before anyone gives out to me about being biased or anything with my picks, I've only one Irish person in my picks, so no biases here. I'm picking against how many? I'm picking against two Irish people. So, do you know, I can't get fairer than that. I hope this video is out after the media day, so nobody gives out to me. But anyway, it shall be fine. We'll go for it anyway. There's a few interesting prices on this. Obviously, you know, with Bellator as well, the bets aren't out sometimes until a bit later in terms of the props and everything like that. So all of my bets here I'm going for straight up bets. But I think there is, especially one or two of them, I think there is money to be made here, so it's interesting. We'll get into our bets in a second. Last week, best week I would say in a long time. Obviously we had one fight fall out because of Aspen Ladd missing weight. I'm going to take that as a win. Sarah McMahon won that fight. Aspen Ladd never made it there. Nate Diaz rules, she won it. But our FLIER won. Corey Sandhagen won inside the distance. I got it at plus 450 myself. I think some people got it maybe a little bit less, some people got a bit more, but that was a really good price. The Tony Gravely fight went the distance, and I think we'd one other winner as well, didn't we? So yeah, not a bad day at all. 3 out of 5, but really 3 out of 4 because one of the bets didn't happen. So a very, very good week. We had a good week the week before. So let's keep it going here into Bellator Dublin. Let's get the bets right again this week. It's going to be a good one. I feel it. I'm going to be up there. If anyone is up there, let me know. Say hello. I'll need 15 quid each for a picture, you know. I'm only joking. But if you're around and you're watching this, let me know. Say hello, and obviously we'll have a bit of a chat, and let me know what bets you're doing as well in the comment section below here. If traveling to the card, or if you're just watching at home in America or anywhere around the world, let me know your bet for the card on the in the comment section here. But as you bet as well, please bet responsibly. And I say it here all the time, don't bet more than you can. You know, a lot of people, you know, over in America now, maybe you'll be betting on this card and it's in the middle of the day and stuff. Bit of crack, you know, a couple of drinks, $5 on the. Don't go mad with it. So let's do that, and let's keep it even keeled and honest as well. So we won't go mad with it. But as I said, there are a few interesting bets here to look at, and we shall do that. I'm going to start off. The first one is, okay, I'll start my Irish one, so we can leave the biases aside after that. But I don't feel this one is biased. It's my first bet. I'm going for Leah McCourt, and she's minus 110. And I think this is a very, very good price. I spoke to Leah the other day, and she seems in good spirits. I think the interview, it'll be around the same time as this, maybe already out before this. But she came into that last fight against Sinead Kavanagh, and it was a very kind of odd fight, and maybe people outside of Ireland wouldn't maybe get it, but you know, when two American fighters fight, you know, it doesn't make a difference really. You know, you could be from one could be from Wyoming and the other could be from LA, and it'd make no difference. Now Leah and Sinead are from different parts of the country. You know, Leah's up the north and Sinead is in Dublin, but still they've trained together before. Leah used to fight out of Owen Roddy's SBG gym, which is very much kind of or was anyway, but kind of still is. You know, Owen Roddy trained Connor, and he used to train in SBG under John. It's very much kind of sister gyms, and I never expected them to fight. I think most people never expect them to fight. Now, them themselves, they both kind of did expect the fight, which I was kind of shocked by at the time. But long story short here, that led to a very weird fight in terms of like the audience and the build up and all of that, and I think maybe that got the both of them a little bit, but also, you know, it got to Leah, and I was talking to her. She was injured in the fight. She had COVID 2 weeks before coming into it. Then Sinead got injured in the fight as well, and it just led. It was a very good fight. I thought a brilliant one, but a weird one to be there for as well, just because of the atmosphere. But I think because she lost that fight, I think her stock is maybe with the bookies has gone down a bit. I think after listening to my interview, maybe people will understand what happened in the fight more than watching it in the night. You know, and I think she's taken a lot of lessons from that, spent her whole camp, or most of it anyway, over training with Molly McCann and Paddy Pimblett. So that's, you couldn't get a better training partner in these parts, I suppose, than Molly McCann. So I think the negative from that maybe has been turned into a positive, but it's more a negative with the bookies than I think maybe it should be. And her opponent here, Dana Silva, she's... if you were to pick someone for Leah McCourt to fight, I think it'd be someone like Dayana. I think she's a good fighter, but what she is best at is kind of waiting on you, dragging you into a long fight and winning a decision after winning maybe, the second half of the first round and the second half of the second round and the third round. That's the type of fighter for me. She is keep it on the feet, pick away and win a decision. I don't like, I watched a few of her fights. There isn't a pile of tape online. Maybe I'm missing something around now, and maybe I'm missing that she's a world-class wrestler or something like that. But from what I've seen, I think she can be taken down. I'm not saying she's a bad wrestler or bad on the ground or anything like that, but Leah is very big for the division, very strong for the division, and has really, really good judo. If she pushes you against the cage, takes you down, she's very good there and very good on the ground. Now, I asked her about her striking. That's obviously improving. And something that will need to improve. I think if this turns into a striker matchup, I think she'll probably lose that fight. I think Silva would win that fight. But I too think Leah will be strong enough and smart enough to put her down. And as well, I think, she kind of said to me in an interview as well, she wants to develop a bit of a nasty streak, because when Sinead hurt her leg in the last one, she didn't want to kick it and she felt a bit bad for her, which is like awful in the fight, but a great thing to learn as you go towards your next fight, because that's the sort of mistake I would say you'd never make again as a fighter. And that could turn into one of these fights too, in terms of like, she will need to land big shots in certain places to win it. And, with that behind her, I think it'll help. So, yeah, I think Leah will win this fight. I really do. Like, I think... And the reason I said as well at the start here, why I think this fight is made for Leah McCourt, is like, I think the biggest issue for Leah at the moment, and it probably will be for the next year or 2 years maybe, will be her striking early, I think. And if she comes in against someone who can hit very hard, like if she went in there against Cyborg, it'd be difficult. Sinead Kavanagh, the fight turned into a bit of a different fight at the start, but Sinead would be another one where I think striking with Sinead early would be an issue for Leah, or maybe other people in the division. That was the case in the Sinead Harding fight, and she still won it. With Silva, I don't think she's like a big, massive hitter early. I think she's more of an accumulation type of fighter on the feet. So the first maybe 2 or 3 minutes on the feet, if it does stay there, I think Leah will be okay. And then use that time to maybe draw her into her false insecurity to put her on the ground, and I think Leah will have a massive advantage there. That's the way I see the fight going, really. And that is, I think, almost... It's very hard to think of another way the fight goes. Unless Leah can't take her down, I don't see that. Unless she can't take her down and Silva wins the fight on the feet and it's just a 3-round decision like that. But I can't see that happen. I do think Leah will get her down at some stage. I could see Leah finishing her. I think she probably will finish her. But if she doesn't, all she needs to do is get 2 takedowns in this fight, I think, and she's going to win either decision or she'll get the finish. 1 takedown might be enough. So at minus 110... yeah, I think that's a good price. I think that's a good price. They're just about, like Leah yesterday, when I looked at these bets, she was, let me just check again here, she was minus 115. She actually come into minus 1. Do you know what? She's minus 115 now. Dayana Silva is minus 105. So it's kind of going back and forth there. I think you can look at you can here. So the fight start, Leah was Dayana Silva was plus 155 when the betting started, and now it's into minus 107. Leah was minus 185, and now she is into, what was the price I gave her? Minus 110. So maybe wait later in the week. If that price is coming in, maybe I got it sideways there. So yeah, let me tell you that again. So Leah started minus 185. Now she's minus 110. Dayana Silva started at plus 155, and now she's minus 107, minus 105. I see she's minus 120 here, even in one place. So yeah, maybe wait later in the week. Although you never know, media day and stuff, when people hear Leah speak, maybe now is the time. Yeah, maybe now is the time, because I think that is a good price, and I would go for Leah now at that price. Right, let's move on. I'll give you my next bet here. And this bet I'm going for, off of feel, maybe more than anything else, but also off of another interview I did last week. So I'm going for Asael Adjoudj. He is plus 135 over Jordan Barton. Now, first of all, maybe on Jordan Barton himself, he's more experienced. Asael is only 4 fights. He's 11 fight, 29 years of age, fighting out a Manchester top team, with the likes of Brennan Loughnane and Kane Mousah is on this card. I think he's fighting out of there as well, and others. And he has some very, very good wins and very good opponents as well. He's fought, he's lost to both Kieran Clark and James Hinton, but 2 very tough guys to fight earlier in your career. And, as I mentioned as well in the previous show I did, he fought against Manny Akpan and beat him as an amateur back in 2016. And, he has, he's a pretty good finishing rate, 4 wins by knockout and 1 by submission. And he is a good all-around, well-rounded fighter. Though his opponent, Asael Adjoudj, and the one thing I think about him is I think he has the class and the skill of this one, right? Now, I talked about the interview I did the other day, and if you actually go to the Bellator Dublin homepage, you'll actually see the interview. It's the one with Peter Queally, and it comes up right at the bottom of that, so click on that and have a listen to it if you haven't heard it. It's actually really, not to pat myself in the back here, and I will, it's a really good interview. Peter's a guy who comes across sometimes in interviews, and I think he kind of said it himself in replying to the interview, that's like, Sean has different questions there. So I tried to, I had to be on my game for that one, and it was very good. He's a lovely guy when you get chatting to him, and I think he's very a very open book as well. When you ask him the right questions, I think he did a great job there talking about sleep and his car and everything. So check that interview. Anyway, again, long story short, I asked him on that, and I've been meaning to ask more people. But remember, Ariel asked Brian Stan, who is the fighter around the world that you used to say, and he said Chimaev. Remember, years ago. And I asked Peter Queally the same question. He told me the guy was Asael Adjoudj. So Asael is here. He's fighting on this card only 2 weeks later, whatever it is, and he's plus 130. Now, wouldn't I be so apt to ask that question and not back Asael at that price? Okay, he's 3-1, right? I was at his pro debut, the fight he lost against Konstantin Blanita, who is another really, really good prospect, fighting out of Team Rhino. He hasn't fought since then, actually. Maybe I must inquire where he's been, actually, because he's another really, really good prospect as well. Won 3 fights since then. Has Asael, 2 of them inside the distance, fighting out he fought in UAE Warriors a couple of times, fought once in Bellator, now he's back obviously fighting in Bellator again. And I went and I looked at him a little bit closer after Peter Queally said that about him, and I am impressed too. He is my type of fighter. He fights long on the outside and moves very, very well and throws kicks and long jabs and 1-2s down the middle. He's just an exciting, very, very skilled fighter, and skillful as well, I would say. He is a silky kind of hot stepper, if you want to put it that way. He's the type of fighter, you can see the guys on the wall behind me. He's the type of fighter I like. He moves well, and he just does everything with kind of a confidence. We saw Javid Basharat the last time in the UFC, and I said on one of my podcasts afterwards, I think this guy's a future champion just because of the way he moves and the confidence with which he does it. And I feel Asael has a bit of that as well. You can understand from Peter Queally's point of view why he's saying that after watching a couple of his fights, the way he moves. Now, I'm not going out and saying Asael's going to be a champion or UFC champion or anything. I leave that to Peter. But he has all the tools, and he's really, really good. It says a lot about Konstantin Blanita as well, the fact that he's beat him. I'd love to I know about seeing that fight again, but maybe down the line, but I'd love to see Konstantin back in there as well. And Asael in this fight against Jordan Barton, it's a tough test, another tough test again. I think most of his fights have been that so far, but I think he can do it, and at that price as well. I just think that movement on the outside, if he can land a big shot, I believe he's good against the cage and on the ground as well. So I think he'll do it. I think he can do it. And at plus 130, I think that's a pretty good price. Right, next bet here. I'm going for Georgi Karakhanyan. And maybe this is a fight that's kind of flying under the radar, but he's minus 195 because it's not, one of the big Irish names in either blue or red corner here. Karakhanyan against Kane Mousah. But like, Kane Mousah's been around for a long time, as has Georgi, obviously, and he's fought some good guys. I think this might be a little bit of a struggle, like the other people from this part of the world, maybe that Georgi has fought. Because if you look at these fights, right, he's a guy that can kind of do it all. He's a guy that can, if he needs to strike, if he needs to hit you, he's 7 knockouts. If he needs to submit you, he's 16 submissions. He submitted Kiefer Crosby, he submitted Paul Redmond, took the fights to the ground, beat him there against very, very good guys in this part of the world, And I think it's going to be a similar thing with Kane Mousah, honestly. And, Kane is a good striker. Kane is a good wrestler. He can fight all around. Now, Saul Rogers beat Georgi as well. Maybe I should mention that. But I just think that Georgi is going to be a little bit maybe too streetwise for him. And I think if he can get the fight to the ground, if he can dominate on top, even I think I love his ground and pound. I love the way he kind of takes the back of a guy with, I guess maybe like one hook in on one side even, or else just kind of rides out the back, traps one leg and lands at ground and pound, Dan Henderson against Fedor style with the up on the side. You see Georgi doing that the odd time. I think he's very, very good at that, and I think that might be where he gets the win here. Now, Kane Mousah has only been finished once ever in his career, and that was against Mark Casey, who obviously we see in the UFC now, and that was 6 years ago, 2016. Yeah, so he's beat some good guys. He's beat Miles Price in the PFL at the moment, who was a win over Peter Queally. He fought David Galan last time out, lost a decision in that one back in 2021. But so, like, Kane Mousah's not a bad fighter at all, I wouldn't say that, but I just think Georgi, I think he's probably just a little bit better everywhere, and I think at minus 195, I think that's a pretty good price to go in there and bet him, maybe throw it into an ACA or something like that. But yeah, I like Georgi at that price. The next fighter I'm going for is Benson Henderson. I'm going for him to win at minus 210. I just think it's another, and I look, as much as I would like to show my biases here and pick the Irish guy in the main event, I just, it's hard to talk yourself into it, to be honest. And I kind of even said that to Peter, like, it's Benson Henderson is like a version of Peter Queally that has gotten a lot higher up, I suppose, in both Bellator, but in the UFC obviously as well, being a champion there. Like, what Peter Queally is great at is staying in there, using his cardio, using his pace to beat you. Now, maybe Benson Henderson doesn't use his pace to beat you, but he does use his cardio. He lands a lot of shots, throws a lot. Maybe he doesn't have the biggest power in the world. I don't think Peter has the biggest power in the world, but he kind of stays in there and he refuses to lose. Like, I think the best thing about Peter Queally is his refusal to lose. Now, I think Benson Henderson has, I wouldn't say he was that necessarily. I think that's where they probably diverge. I think he is a very skilled fighter. Not to say that Peter isn't skilled, but on Benson himself, a very, very skilled fighter. Obviously, I think he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu now, isn't he, as well? And he has the wrestling, he has the striking, he has the cardio. The one question I would say about Benson, and I suppose this is more a discussion for the preview show, which I have talked about there as well, I suppose would be like, he just signed a new 4-fight contract. How much of his mind is in it, and how well prepared is he for this fight, would be the other thing. Now, I have probably great confidence in him that he will be prepared, but I suppose that is always a question, no matter who it is. When people often say, "Oh, he's one step out the door," he's talking about retirement, and that I don't agree with that necessarily about anyone, but it's sometimes it is true. Sometimes it is true, and it's definitely a thing worth mentioning. But I just think, like, it's saying this has bit me in the arse a few times over the last while. I said it with Leah Edwards, and I said it with a few more. I just think he's a little bit better everywhere, and I think the biggest part of it as well, I think he's a little bit better everywhere that Peter Queally is very good, with that cardio, with the pace. I just think Benson is too good. Like, if Peter Queally comes on with his big pace, say in the third, fourth round, Will Benson be the sort of guy that will wilt to it? Will he tire to Peter Queally's pace? I don't think he will. Like, when Peter pushes him against the cage, if he does, will Benson just be like there to be taken down? Or will, not that he'd just be there to be taken down, but will Peter have the ability to take him down? Will Benson, will Benson's defenses fail? I don't think so. I don't think he's the type of guy that will do that. And it could be one of those fights as well where Benson maybe now the other thing I would say, and I'm going against my own bet here, he keeps talking about wanting to put on a show for the Irish fans, and this is not a thing. Everyone said, I want to put on a show for the fans. Benson Henderson fought against Miles Jury. Let me just check exactly when it was. It was on in Ireland, and it was in 2019, and it was a unanimous decision. Boring fight, really boring fight. Miles Jury gave probably the most boring interview I've ever seen before that fight. It was awful, and it was just all around. It was one of those fights that everyone in Ireland wanted to see. The two ex-UFC guys, the ex-UFC champion, and it turned into an absolute snooze fest. And I think that kind of hurt Benson Henderson a little bit because he got a great reception when he was coming out. They were like, "Oh, this is Benson Henderson. This is a star," and he got a star reception. And it wasn't a great fight. And he said the second he did an interview after that fight, he said, "I'm going to come back here again and I'm going to put on a show. I can't leave it like that with the Irish fans. They were so good to me." They gave him, Benson got a better reception there than he's got anywhere in the world, I would say. A lot of fans in Ireland. And he keeps saying for the last, 3 years now, that he wants to put on that show again. And I wonder how that plays into it. Will he fight differently? Will he come out striking? Now, maybe that'll lead to an early finish. Or maybe it'll lead to him getting tired, or maybe it'll lead to him playing into Queally's hands a little bit. I honestly don't know. I don't get a read in that one. But what I do think, I still think he'll win. And I think he'll dominate the fight, if I'm being honest. Now, not that I hope I'm wrong, but I'd love to see an Irish guy doing well today. I know, all biases aside and everything here, we all, if you're American, you want to see American. If you're Irish, you want to see Irish. Or Brazilian, you want to see Brazilians doing well. But I have to go with my head here instead of my heart when I'm betting in my pocket, maybe, as well. And I'll go for Benson Henderson in that one. So for my flyer this week, I'm not going to lie, lads. I'm not going to lie. I had another flyer. I recorded it, sent it in, and went and looked at my phone, and my flyer for the week was gone. The fight fell out. So I'm giving you another flyer here. Now, this is slim pickings, right? This is slim pickings. As I record this, there's no prop bets out yet, so I have to go wild. I have to go for a wild one here. And my my flyer bet for this week, I told you I'm going mad, and I am going mad. I am going for Melvin Manhoef at plus 500 to beat Yoel Romero. Now, we have to go mad here. We have to go mad. There was another bet I was looking at. It was a little bit less mad while still being a bit mad. But do you know what? I have a sneaky feeling this is going to be a different fight than what people are expecting. I talked about it on the preview show, and I kind of stick by it. I think Melvin Manhoef will force Yoel Romero into a fight. We all know Yoel, right? And we look at him and we see this kind of this weight pop into shots and try to knock a guy out, right? And most people, because they're fighting Yoel Romero and they know his power and they know the insane way he fights, they will wait. Because what is the alternative? If you go in and you go inside, Yoel is just going to crack you and knock you out. If you wait, there's going to be less chance of him cracking you and knocking you out. The guy who beat him very well over 10 rounds was Robert Whittaker. And what he did was he never waited. He was first before Yoel all the time, broke his rhythm, never gave him a second to unleash a big shot. Now, he got one or two off, but you know what I mean. For Melvin Manhoef, I don't think this is an opportunity to just wait on the outside, because there's waiting a certain amount of time, right? And then you come in and try to land a big shot, but Yoel is more likely. He's more athletic, he's faster. He probably at this stage of his career, maybe not hits harder in terms of punching, but he probably lands harder, if you want to put it that way. Big flying knees, big elbows, maybe a big punch as well. So I think Melvin's going to have to attack him. Really, I think it's the only way he's going to beat him. And asking Melvin Manhoef to attack you, that's a dangerous game to play. It really, really is a dangerous game to play. Now, this is... Look, who do I think will win? I think it would be Yoel Romero. But at plus 500, it's madness. It is madness. I don't think it'll come off. But is there that chance? I'm going to be there like there's going to be magic in the air. Is there just a slim chance that Melvin Manhoef lands that big shot and knocks Yoel Romero out? Because most lads who come in and go toe-to-toe with Yoel Romero don't actually have the power to knock Yoel Romero out. Does Melvin Manhoef have the power to knock? Let's say, right, Yoel Romero stood there and Melvin Manhoef threw one punch at him and hit him square in the face as hard as he can. Do you think he can knock Yoel Romero out? I think he does, yeah. I think that's a possibility. Will it happen? Is it a probability? It's definitely not a probability. Is it a slight possibility? Yes, it's a slight possibility. Is it a possibility? That's, borderline. But plus 500, Melvin Manhoef knocking out Yoel Romero. Why not? So yeah, those are my 5 bets. I'll run through some of the other ones. There's no other events on this week. We've Dayana White Contender Series. Obviously, by the time this will be out, it will have been done already. But I'll run through some of the other and all of the prices from Bellator. In fact, I'll go from bottom to the top. So Alex Bodnardin is plus 240 against Kenny Mokahana. If you don't know, Kenny's Franz Malambo's brother fights out of SPG as well. Very good guy on his way up. I think that price is just about right. Then Asael, who was my second bet of the week, he's plus 130. Jordan Barton is minus 165. Dante Shiro is minus 200 over Luca Pilat plus 160. Derek Kelly. Now Derek Kelly, very, very good prospect on the way up, minus 400 plus 300 for Kai Stevens. I think that's a bit wide as well, but I might have a minus 300, minus 350 maybe. So I do think Derek Kelly will win there. Georgi Karakhanyan then, a few different price areas around minus 190, minus 195-ish over Kane Mousah plus 165. Adjoudj Silva plus 300, minus 400 for Brian Moore. Brian is another one I think will win, minus 400. I wouldn't try him in as one of my bets this week, but I do think that's the right price him, to be honest. George Sassoon plus, what is he here? Just looking at it here again, plus 340. And Kieran Clark is minus 425. A very interesting line on Mads Burnell, Pedro Carvalho, plus 350 for Pedro, minus 450 for Mads Burnell. I know the props aren't out yet, but I'd probably avoid backing Mads in that one with Pedro early. First round KO for Pedro. It'll probably be, if he's plus 350 here, it'll probably be like plus 1200 or something like that. I think Mads Burnell will win this fight. There's no doubt about that. I think most people would. He's minus 450. I'm not saying anything crazy there. But if Mads goes in there and tries to fight with Pedro early, Pedro can crack anyone. He really can. He hits very, very hard. And that'd be definitely a flyer bet I would do there, back in the price that I think it will be, because that's a big price for someone who hits that hard. Leah McCourt in minus... Dayana Silva, is minus 105. Leah McCourt is minus 110. And Benson Henderson plus... minus 2, down to minus 200 now, but minus 200 Benson Henderson, plus 160 for Peter Queally. Benson's price has gone from minus 240 into minus 200. Very interesting. Let's look at Peter Queally, plus 190 into plus 160. So a lot of movement there. There's a lot of movement going on in those prices coming up to this Friday. So it'll be interesting to see where we are come Friday night and where those prices are going. Even by the time this video comes out, there'll probably be a bit of movement in those prices. So very interesting times, very interesting lines here for Bellator on Friday night. All right, quick recap of the bets for the week. I'm going Leah McCourt, straight up minus 110. Asael Adjoudj plus 130. Georgi Karakhanyan over Kane Mousah at minus 195. Benson Henderson minus 110 in the main event. And the crazy mad flyer of the week, I'll say it again, Melvin Manhoef plus 500, probably not, against Yoel Romero. All right, everyone, that is it. If you're around Dublin, you see me, say hello. Let me know what bets you're betting on this week as well, and it's going to be a fun week. Thanks everybody for listening, tuning in, and let me know your bets as well. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.